The thing you should fear the most is not knowing what scares you. The unknown, the denial of fear is actually the enemy, not the fear itself. This unknown is dangerous. I remember when my uncle had a Nissan Stanza pickup truck. Remember those? They were kind of like Ford Rangers. They were everywhere for a certain period of time. I'm old enough to remember. But Uncle Joe had this orange-red Nissan Stanza pickup truck in San Diego, and I borrowed it one time to move a futon from my apartment in Coronado to someone who lived up in La Jolla who needed it. And I remember jumping in this pickup and loading everything and flopped in the back and driving, but realizing part way as we got on the road up on the highway, was going over the Coronado Bridge with a futon mattress flopped across the back, was that somewhere along the way it had gotten so hot in San Diego that the speedometer had melted and it was like twisted and wasn't quite right. And I had no idea how fast I was going. I had no idea if I was going the speed limit or not. Only thing that would tell me anything was the instability I felt with the mattress on the back. But I had no speedometer. I didn't know what my speed was. And so I didn't know if I was going too fast. I didn't know if I was being dangerous. Two, not knowing what you're afraid of is a dangerous thing. Because here's the deal. Last week we talked about vision. Setting vision for who you want to be. And we said, though, if your vision isn't clear in moment to moment, then something else is driving. But here's the problem. If you don't have a vision, the thing that's driving you is a fear. Now, you may not use the word fear, but it's an emotional reaction to something. Usually, vision is clear. If you don't know what your vision was in the moment, it is a good bet that a fear of something that you want to either not have happen or you want to avoid is driving you. Every moment that doesn't have a vision is driven by a fear that you're trying to avoid. What is that? And if you don't know what that is, it's like driving a vehicle that you're not sure whether the speed is too much. You don't know what's driving you. So I want to talk to you about that. Are you aware of when you're driven by not wanting something to happen? Are you driven, when you're afraid of something, do you have a name for your fears? There's a great old proverb that says the beginning of wisdom is to call things by the right name. I want you to start to put words to your fears so you can decide, is that something worth being afraid of? And how do I respond to it? Fear isn't the issue at the beginning. It's the denial of it. And think of it. We all have moments when we're afraid. We all have moments when we want something to not happen or we worry about it. You can tell because your limbic system kicks in. Limbic system, that kind of parasympathetic part of your body where your heart rate raises and your cortisol level spikes. I have an aura ring. And what's crazy is there's so many times when I will be overthinking about something and lying on the couch and open my aura app and be really annoyed to discover it's telling me I'm stressed. Now, I would say to you, I'm not stressed. I'm watching TV. Why am I stressed? Something about my body is reacting. And that reaction is a telltale sign of other things going on. A lot of you are operating out of fear of something happening. And in fact, we'll talk more about this in another video. Dr. Max says there's 4 fatal fears. The fear of looking bad, feeling bad, being wrong, or being out of control. Those core fears are often driving us, but most people won't admit that they're afraid. Can you at least admit moments that when you don't have a vision for who you want to be, you have fear? And you need to understand because those fears end up running through a system. And so what's interesting is Dr. Max came up with a thing he calls the ABCDs of how we respond to situations. A is what they call an activating event. Something happens. A client asks for a proposal or asks you to make a change to a proposal. A is the activating event. It's the thing that happens. And these things can be big and small. It can be someone asks you to get them something from the refrigerator, family member, your partner, your spouse. That's an activating event. Most people think we have an activating event, a request, an interaction, choice, something in the external world. And then we simply think about it logically and respond. It's actually not what happens. According to Dr. Max, the activating event, A, kicks in. Then we run it through our beliefs, what we believe about it, what we think it means, what we believe the person's trying to say, what exactly is the message, what's the intent. We have all these different beliefs and filters that the activating event is almost instantaneously processed through. C kicks in, which is we need to draw an emotional conclusion. Is this positive, negative, or neutral? This is a good thing, a bad thing? Do I want to lean towards it and want more of it? Do I want to lean away from it because it's dangerous? We draw a conclusion about it. And then we decide our action. And so A, activating event. B, beliefs and filters. C, draw a conclusion about the emotional positivity or negativity. D, take an action. But here's the problem. You don't all go from A to D. You actually have beliefs that filter things. You have then draw certain conclusions. If you don't know what your beliefs are, if you don't know what those filters are and what those filters and fears are, because you haven't clarified your vision, those are the things that are driving you. Here's the other thing I need you to catch, though. Ends up being the basis of B and C in our ABCD formula. Your Clifton Strengths not only reveal your natural ways of getting things done and what you bring to the table. We talked previously in our Clifton Strengths pieces about what you need. This will show you what it is you're most afraid of. What's really, really interesting to me is that things that are so natural in moments of strength are also the thing that we're the most afraid of later. My Clifton Strengths tell me that when any problem comes up, these are the first things I should do in order to solve that problem. Think of it. How many times have you heard somebody say, my spouse or partner comes home and tells me the story of their frustrating coworkers or their friends, and you sit there and the person will say, and I'm so frustrated because I'll say to them, well, stop spending time with them. And the person who's telling the story says, I don't want you to solve it. I just want you to listen. We've heard this a million times. We tell that a lot. That's because achiever and strategic, two Clifton Strengths themes, are very, very common in the population. What does achiever and strategic do? They work hard, achiever, they take action. Strategic, they identify roadblocks and solve them. So when you're sitting on the couch, achiever, strategic, and someone's telling you a story because they have communication, empathy, connectedness, and they want to tell you about the emotional exhaustion they feel being around a group of people, your brain activating event is you're hearing a story. Your belief is sounds emotional and negative. Surely there's an action or a decision that can make this negativity go away. That's the conclusion. So D, you use words and you say, you should stop seeing your friends. And then you're very confused because the activating event was there. You believe that doing and helping is the best possible action all the time. The most positive emotional thing to do would be to give them advice on how to solve it. You do, they tell you that you aren't being helpful. See how that works? Activating, belief, conclusions, decisions, action. Do you know how your strengths drive your beliefs? Do you know how they get in the way? Activator often, what's interesting is that our Clifton Strengths themes, our brain understands it, and so it just defaults to it. We always default back to our themes. Achievers, the first worry in any problem situation is often going to be, you're not working hard enough. But the real problem is actually, you're probably working out too much and you're going to burn out, not underperformance. Responsibility. As they're thinking through their beliefs and conclusions, the B and the C, they worry that they don't own enough, that they've delegated too much. But the actual risk is they aren't delegating enough. They're overextended. Strategic is always worried they're not deciding fast enough. So speed, maybe if I'm faster. The real risk, you move before you've gathered all the information. Empathy and harmony, they always worry about not being kind enough or thoughtful enough. The biggest risk is them not acting. See, we'll default to these B's and C's that we understand. When in reality, that actually needs to be assessed. Is it really that I'm not working hard enough? Is it really that they want me to solve the problem? Or could it be the thing I'm not thinking of? And so what is a belief or even a strength that runs your decision-making in absence of vision? If you don't have a vision, you're likely being driven by one of your four fatal fears: looking bad, feeling bad, being wrong, or being out of control. And that will often take on the flavor of whatever your dominant Clifton Strengths themes are. Name a belief or maybe a fear that is running your decisions. Write it down. Run it through the ABCDs. Ask yourself, could it be another way? And see if there's something you need to start to reconsider and rethink in your life. This is about compass navigation. So we're going to keep talking about these. It's going to be strengths, vision, facing fears, and taking action. This won't be the last time we talk about fear. But start with going, wait. Am I secretly afraid of things? And what decision is that driving? See you guys next time.